Hello, welcome to LifeTalk for Tuesday, January 29th, 2019. And I'm joined by the usual suspects, my daughter Sheila.
Hi.
And my assistant Rennie, or Renee.
Good to be here.
And then also Ernie is back with us, as he will be every week. He doesn't seem to change positions a lot. He pretty much
He doesn't move much, does he?
No, he doesn't really.
No.
Yeah.
Doesn't change much.
And he won't have much to say this episode.
No, he's not going to be saying much this episode.
But I'm sure in future episodes he'll speak up.
Oh, yeah, he'll be around. Anyway, real quickly, we'll be releasing, we've been promising people a new project that's coming.
Yes.
And on next week's show, we will be introducing that. And it's going to be introduced over a period of weeks because it's pretty involved. And we've got a lot of neat stuff to be bringing. And I think it's going to really be something that the pro-life movement can use to further expose the abortion industry.
Yep, and they need to.
Yep, and that's what has to happen. We have to show the American people what these people are really like. And while we're on that subject, I want to really encourage people to make use of our peopleofchoice.com website. They need to go to that website because it really exposes what the abortion industry is about, what it's like.
Yeah.
Because you don't see it on television.
Well, not only the abortion industry, but the mindset of the people who support abortion.
And the kind of degenerates that they are. I mean, it's just, yeah. And the secular media is never going to show you that. That's why we started this website.
Right.
Like, we got a bunch of new stuff for the People of Choice website that we're going to be, kind of filtering through and releasing, one at a time. With the Women's March, you see the news and the media, showing smiling, faces and, cute little signs. They don't show the other side of it. Their lens is, instead of being wide, it's very narrow.
They show the middle America people there because that's who's watching. They don't show the rest of them. You talked about that.
Demonic.
Yeah. You saw stuff down there that you never saw on television.
Right. Exactly.
Anyway, so we'll be starting to release our new project starting next week. And again, we want to really encourage you to start going to peopleofchoice.com, and we update it pretty routinely. That's Sheila's job, and Sheila finds the information.
And I upload it, but yeah, she finds.
Sometimes you find stuff, but
sometimes
usually Sheila does that. Anyway, as we saw in New York here the last couple of days, just an absolute outrage. That happened in the New York legislature up there and with the governor. And we're going to be talking about that here in a few minutes. But first, we're going to go to our robot segment a little earlier than normal today. So let's see robots, and as soon as we come back from that, we will be talking about what happened in New York.
In 1973, the U.S. Supreme Court legalized abortion nationwide. The decision is called Roe versus Wade, and those who defend it are known as RoeBots. This is how they think.
The Supreme Court settled this once and for all. They said the unborn are not persons and that women have a constitutional right to abortion.
Given that the battle still rages after almost 50 years, it's pretty stupid to claim that the issue is settled. Let's also not forget that the Supreme Court has a history of discovering that some of its prior decisions were wrong. One glaring example is their 1857 Dred Scott decision, in which they ruled that slavery was constitutional. But the anti-slavery forces didn't accept that as the final word in the matter, just as the pro-life movement will never accept Roe versus Wade as the final word in the abortion issue. Like the abolitionists before us, we will continue to fight for as long as it takes. As for the personhood argument, let's remember that throughout history, whenever one group of people has wanted to justify exterminating or brutalizing another group of people, they always describe their victims in ways that are intended to take away their humanity. The process is called dehumanization, and it is the universal strategy savages always use to make their particular brand of barbarism a little easier to sell. And the abortion holocaust is no different. In Roe versus Wade, the Supreme Court ruled that states cannot prohibit abortion because the unborn are not, quote, persons in the whole sense, unquote. It is exactly what the court did over 100 years earlier in Dred Scott when they ruled that slavery was constitutional because blacks were not citizens of the United States and therefore the Constitution did not apply to them. The reality is, this bizarre concept that someone can be a partial person or a non-person does not exist in the real world. In fact, the English language does not have a word for a human being who is not a person. So the question I want one of these abortion defenders to answer is this: what is added to a fetus at birth that makes it a person if it wasn't a person before? All right, we're back. An atrocity occurred in New York here in the last few days, but not one we shouldn't have anticipated.
Exactly.
The legislature there passed, and of course New York is one of the most rabid pro-abortion states in the Union. They passed legislation that's basically what they're trying to do is codify Roe.
Right.
They're trying to make sure that Roe is their state law.
Yes.
Because if Roe is overturned on a states' rights argument,
right,
they want that law to trigger and just everything to go on like it was.
Yep.
And I mean, they're doing everything in their right to protect abortion, one law at a
Right.
time. And, you know, they purposely elect pro-abortion politicians.
Yep.
Have they ever had a pro-life politician? I don't know.
Yeah, there's been some pro-lifers in New York, but
Far
not
and
as a
few-
governor.
Yeah, far and few between.
Yes. And you're not going to become governor of New York on a pro-life.
I mean, look at who they elected this last election.
Right. And you know, it's really this is really an outrage what happened up there, and because basically, like I said, they're going to codify Roe, allowing abortion right up to the moment of birth, and they're even saying after birth, because this legislation allows that if a baby is born alive during the abortion, that you can go ahead and let the baby be killed, let the baby die. So they're taking it outside the womb, and we've seen this in other places, and now New York is just basically going to put it into their state law.
Well, and I mean, they're making it legal, but it happens all the time.
It happens anyway.
Where,
Right.
you know, babies are born alive
Right.
After, you know, a failed abortion. The abortionist has the nurses, you know, put it in a broom closet and just let the baby die. So it happens all the time. It's just now legal to do it.
Do you know what was brought to my attention earlier today that I hadn't even thought of? New York is going to be the go-to state for the marketing of the baby body parts because of the afterbirth abortions. I mean,
That's a good source of parts.
Yeah.
If you're gonna harvest these parts and profit off of them.
Yep.
But you know, and of course now we're seeing that since this thing happened in New York, other states have already done this,
Yeah.
and now other states are saying, okay, we're going to follow the lead.
Right.
And you think, well, why are they doing this now? And the reason is because they see the handwriting on the wall. Roe versus Wade is doomed, and they know it is.
And plus, with the new Supreme Court nominees and one seat that's looking to be filled pretty soon, it seems like.
Yep.
They're doing everything in their power to, you know, make it a cement, you know,
Right.
put it in cement.
Right. That's exactly what's happening.
Well, yeah, and people are so upset about this, but abortion goes on in every single state, and babies from 4 weeks to 6 weeks are being sucked out of the wombs of their moms. But people are my Facebook page, people are so upset about the whole New York thing, and I get it, right? I mean, it's a baby, but so is the 4 to 6 week old.
Well, see, that's a point we need to make sure people understand. I understand the visual is worse when you think about a baby that looks more like us, having arms and legs ripped off and the head crushed and all that. But the fact is, if you're pro-life, it's no different between killing a 28-week baby as an 8-week baby.
That's right.
And I mean, there are some people that would say, oh, you know, it's all bad, but this is worse. There was someone on Facebook that said that. But the thing is, when it comes to abortion, you know, it's the killing of the child, and there's no level of morality. Oh, it's bad that this baby was killed, but it's younger, so it's not as bad as
Right.
you know, an older baby being killed. That's worse. That's morally morally wrong.
Well, what keeps going through my head, Elaine Reddick had posted a video just the other day, and she's watching, hey Elaine, of a late-term abortion. And it just makes you want to bawl your eyes out. It really does. Because this woman is having a late-term abortion, and she's turned over, and they're yanking the baby out, but they have to go in with scissors and with clamps to crush the skull of the baby. And they cut the spine. This is no better than Gosnell. This is no better than Carpin.
Right.
I mean, I guess it doesn't end from here. I mean, it's just the morals of
You have to stop the whole thing.
Yeah.
If you don't stop it all from the moment of fertilization, you've accomplished nothing.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like I said, I understand the argument of getting, or the emotion of getting more upset about a late-term baby. But if you're pro-life, they're babies from the moment the egg is fertilized.
Right.
That's a baby.
I mean, visually, it does seem more shocking, but if you put the visual aside and think morally,
Right.
philosophically, and, you know, what it truly is, it's no different.
It's no different. And, you know, you're talking about that they've set, these babies are born alive and they take them and set them in a closet somewhere and let them die. When we did that interview that's on YouTube with those 3 down in Houston,
Right.
They didn't do that. They twist their heads off
Oh, yeah.
or push their thumb into the soft spot of the baby's head,
Or, yeah, the thorax. I mean,
into the throat.
And for anybody that wants to see that abortion clinic interview, like you said, it's on YouTube. It's on our Life Dynamics YouTube page. So just search Life Dynamics. They can pull up
abortion clinic employees is what it's called.
our profile, and there's several videos of them. And
That thing has gotten hundreds of thousands of views.
Yeah, because it's talking to the people that actually work inside the abortion clinic for 18 years.
instead of the rosy picture that the media
Right.
likes to paint.
Now, something happened I saw just a couple of days ago. Well, first off, there's been lots of outrages. One of them is Cuomo, the degenerate governor who signed this bill, and just they're laughing and cutting up. This is a great day for the state of New York, right?
Oh, yeah. It's a huge day.
Speaking of laughing and cutting up, on Facebook, there was a picture of, Nazi guards, standing there laughing, cutting up. And then below it was a picture of when he was signing the law with the women surrounding him.
Right.
It looked the exact same thing. It was eerie how much of a resemblance it was.
Yeah.
It's doing the same thing.
And then he has the World Trade Center
Lit up.
in pink lights
Yeah.
to celebrate this ruling. I mean, this new law. It's unbelievable. But let me tell you something that's really got me fired up here and makes me angry. The other day on Fox and Friends, they had Cardinal Dolan, the Archbishop of New York's Archdiocese, the Cardinal there at the Archdiocese. And he's a really affable, really good guy, really nice person. And he made a lot of good points. I mean, and he was very stern. This is an outrage. This is murder. This is, this cannot stand. We're Nazi Germany. He's making all these points that he's very right about. But then one of the hosts brought up something. He's about why is Cuomo allowed to claim to be such a good Catholic in good standing? Why hasn't he been excommunicated? And why is he allowed to receive communion while he's doing this? And Dolan then wimped out. And I'm sitting here thinking, this is an outrage. This is a scandal that the cardinal of this Archdiocese of New York has this governor who is saying we're going to kill babies all the way up to birth and even after birth if we want to. That's acceptable. This is a fundamental issue for the Catholic Church. It is the fundamental issue for the Catholic Church. And yet, if you're not going to excommunicate this guy, why do you have excommunication?
Well, it's outrageous, but it's not surprising. The Catholic Church has a history of not excommunicating people that they should, like abortionists who claim to be Catholic and other,
those of us who
Pelosi, and so this isn't something new.
Yeah, those of us who aren't Catholic do not have this built-in hierarchical structure that the Catholic Church has, and that's a good discipline. But it's a discipline they don't use, and if you don't use it, it works against you.
Right.
Because, for example, in this case, Nancy Pelosi comes out here and literally brags about the fact that she's a Catholic in good standing, and her faith means everything to her. It motivates her whole existence. And she's a Catholic in good standing. She's not excommunicated, and she brags about the fact that she can take communion. She can go to the communion rail and be given communion. And the problem here is she's saying, I'm not excommunicated. I'm not going to be excommunicated. I get to take communion. I'm a Catholic in good standing. And Dolan's agreeing with her. Mm-hmm. He's agreeing with Nancy Pelosi.
But are y'all seriously surprised about that?
Well, in his case, I am, but maybe I shouldn't be. Now, he admitted that his mail, he gets bundles of mail every day from Catholics telling him to excommunicate this guy and to deny him communion. And a lot of good Catholics out there are saying, we have to excommunicate these people. And there's a lot of priests that won't give them communion. A lot of them won't.
He should have been excommunicated a long time ago. I mean, he has a horrible history anyways of allowing gay marriage in the church. He passed that bill of abortion. He's a divorced person living with a woman, but
it's not going to happen. He's not going to get excommunicated.
Well, we don't know that. Anyway.
Pelosi's not going to get excommunicated. The Catholic Church does not put their foot down when it comes to that. And it's not only the Catholic Church. Protestants are bad about not putting their foot down when it comes to the abortion issue too.
Yeah. Oh, we're worse about it.
And so until we put our foot down, it's not going to happen.
Timothy on here says that we need a flat-out personhood amendment to settle the issue once and for all. Worked for slavery, it will work for the preborn as well.
Well, yeah, I'm working on something, as y'all know, right now that deals with this issue. I think it's time for the pro-life movement to swing for the fences.
Absolutely.
We've nibbled around the edges long enough. It's time. 60-something million dead babies is plenty. That's enough. That should settle the bloodlust to the other side. It's time for us to move on. And I'm writing an article, as y'all know, right now, proposing a certain strategy that I think could be very effective.
And when people hear about it, they are
pumped.
Yes, exactly.
You and I have had conversations with just a few people that I've talked to about this.
Yeah.
And even one of the people that's I guess I hate to use this term, but he's kind of a groupie of Life Dynamics, and he thinks everything we do is fantastic. I even threw it out to him one day. He called about something else. And I was amazed. He was not that impressed with it. He didn't think it was such a fantastic idea. Mm-hmm. And that's fine. I'm moving forward with it. But then night before last, he calls, and you took the call and passed it through to me. And he said, I've looked at this again. I've thought about it. I've talked to some other people. He said, this is genius. Mm-hmm. This is what we've got to do. This is the direction we've got to take.
Well, right. I mean, and politics isn't going to completely stop abortion. You have to change people's hearts and minds. But unless we swing for the fences, you're going to have a state over here that passes pro-life legislation. And then, a few years later, they may get, a pro-abortion politician who just reverses it. And so it's, it's going to continue being back and forth until we, put our foot down.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm proposing. But it's one thing to say we've got to shoot for personhood, and that's right, we do. But you got to have a mechanism to do that with. You can't just say, we got to have personhood. Okay, that's fine. But how do you get personhood?
Right, and you have the mechanism.
And I have a suggestion for that.
And not only do you have a mechanism, but now we have the science to show that yes, that preborn are living human beings. Science is even more so on our side now than it ever has been.
Right, and go ahead.
I know we're kind of jumping around. Right. I want to make a point here.
Okay.
I grew up listening to Charlie Daniels.
Right.
I did.
Who is Charlie Daniels?
He's a country singer.
The
Devil Went Down to Georgia.
Oh, I've heard that song. I'm not a country music person.
He tweeted something the other day, and I want to read this because it is so good to me.
Right.
Watch the wrinkles on Cuomo's face lengthen as the ramifications of the thousands of murders has sanctioned come to bear on him. The New York legislation had created a new Auschwitz. Thank you. You're helping me out here. Dedicated to the execution of a whole segment of defenseless citizens. Satan is smiling. Oh, it's on the screen.
Yep. He's right on. Years ago, he's got a really neat song called "Still Witness." And it's a Christian song, and it's talking about the decay in America, and part of it's the unborn. And we contacted him about using that song as a theme song for LifeTalk, and he was okay with it. He told us he'd be happy to and when he said, I'll have to get the legal people to send you the legal documents that you need to do that, they wouldn't do it.
Right.
The legal people said, no, we're not going to release the rights.
the production company.
Yeah, he apparently, like most artists, does not own the copyright to his own songs.
Right.
And so, but he was perfectly happy with it, and he's a good guy. And there was an NFL player came out and saying, hey, this is outrageous.
And an actor. And I honestly have a question. There have been, people celebrities and other people who have come out and said this is outrageous. But you have to also ask yourself, are these same people, are they pro-life? Would they say it's outrageous for the moment?
10 week.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right.
Or are they just saying it's outrageous because, this seems more extreme?
Because it's more visually upsetting.
Right. I mean, to be truly pro-life, you have to believe that the unborn child has the right to life from the moment of fertilization.
Right.
So do those people truly believe that, or are they just
don't know.
outraged over this New York thing?
Yeah.
Well, and we have to remember there's other states, 9 other states that have the same law, and New York is protecting the health of the mother. Some states don't even do that. It's not a health issue. It's just you can have an abortion. So
Yeah, well, the health issue doesn't matter anyway,
Oh.
because the Supreme Court's defined health in a way
Yeah.
that any woman who's pregnant falls under the heading of having to have an abortion for her health.
She could say that, she's upset.
Or I'm too old, or I'm too
Yeah.
young. Or
And then
whatever.
they would say, she might kill herself, and even if she wasn't posing a threat to herself.
Let's remember too. I'm going to have this idea that I'm writing up. I've been working on it for a while, and it's very complicated for me to write. It's the hardest thing I've ever written. I don't know why, but it has been. But I'm getting over the hump a little bit now.
Good.
And as you know, I'm working on it at nights and
Right.
weekends, and
Yes.
I'm really excited about it. I'm more excited about it today than I was when I first started it, as I lay it out and
Yeah.
actually see it on paper. But what we've got to guard against is there's a lot of people out here in the pro-life movement even that are saying we've got to overturn Roe.
Mm-hmm.
Simply overturning Roe won't necessarily accomplish what we want to accomplish.
Absolutely not.
And that's what we need to understand.
Yes.
If the Supreme Court comes out here and issues a ruling that says Roe was badly decided because the unborn child's a person,
Right.
then it's over and we've won. But if they come out and they say Roe versus Wade was badly decided because the Constitution is silent on abortion and therefore it's a states' rights issue,
Right, which they're doing. That's what they want to do.
that's what they want. That's what the pro-aborts want.
Yes.
They want to send it back to the states.
Yes.
We're done.
Yep.
Because what's going to happen is you're going to have within weeks you'll have this patchwork quilt.
Yep.
Some states will outlaw abortion. Some states will permit it, like New York, right up to the moment of birth. And most states are going to take some kind of middle ground approach. The problem is state lines can be freely crossed.
Yes.
So let's say that you're an unborn baby in Texas, and Texas has passed legislation protecting your life, and you can't be executed. You can be taken to California. You can be basically extradited.
Right.
Inside your mother's body, she can decide to take you to California for execution. So in effect, a states' rights argument, the thing that sends it back to the states, doesn't protect one baby. Every baby conceived in America will still be legally abortable if you have a states' rights argument.
That's right.
Because that baby can be taken to another state. And I am of the opinion, and you kind of touched on this a minute ago talking about New York, but I'm of the opinion that there will be states in this union who set up kind of a cottage industry in abortion.
Where they provide transportation across state lines, part of an abortion package.
And they advertise. And, and a good example of this, just using one, might be Illinois. Illinois is as rabidly pro-abortion as New York or California. But right next door you have Indiana. That's not that way. So let's say Indiana restricts abortion or maybe even prohibits abortion. All that's going to happen is Illinois is going to start, all the abortion mills over there is going to start advertising in Indiana, and there won't be a single baby in Indiana who's protected, even though his state law prohibits his execution.
A good analogy would be casinos. In Texas, gambling is illegal.
Right.
Well, in
Casino
Oklahoma,
gambling.
yeah. Well, in Oklahoma, on Indian reservations, there are tons of casinos, and so all you have to do is go down 35, hop in your car, go down 35.
Go up 35.
Oh, up, down. And then cross the Oklahoma border, and then there's casinos that just pop up.
Out of nowhere.
And so it would be like that with abortion mills. You would have abortion mill here, advertising, discounts. It would be a whole industry.
That casino analogy is a good one for several reasons. But it is true that if you go up 35, as y'all know, the second you get out of Texas and you're in Oklahoma, within 5 miles, there's that gigantic. They say it's the largest.
I don't even think it's within 5 miles.
Yeah, it's like
They say
right
it's the largest casino in the world. Now, what's interesting about that? They built it. Why do you think they built it out there in the middle of the sticks in Oklahoma, a couple of miles from the Texas border? Because they knew that that'd be their big market. And what's interesting is when the Texas legislature has considered bills to allow casino gambling, and there's lots of people that line up opposed to it. One of the groups that lines up, guess who one of the groups is that lines up opposed to it?
Yeah, the people in Oklahoma.
People in Oklahoma come to Texas and put millions into the Texas.
There's a big lobbying
Right.
of it. And also, you see billboards advertising the casinos in Oklahoma,
all over North Texas.
Yeah. Dallas, 45 miles away, you'll see tons of billboards advertising it.
Karen says that Roe was up for women's rights. We need a law for the unborn rights separately.
Well, that's not too dissimilar to what I've writing up. It's something similar. But it's right. And see, this is what this casino analogy is good, because I'm telling you, just use Illinois and Indiana as an example. Illinois says, right up to birth, we're fine. Indiana says, no, we're not allowing that, or we're not going to allow any abortions at all. You'll have the exact same situation there that we have with these casinos. The interstate that runs east and west out of Illinois, Indiana, there will be abortion mills right inside the state of Illinois, and they will be advertising all over Indiana.
And I wouldn't even be surprised if Planned Parenthood made a deal with abortion clinics, with selling abortions clinics for or abortion referrals. So you have this woman come in, I don't want this baby, I want an abortion. Well, you're too late, You can't legally have abortion, but hey, we'll sell you an abortion at this abortion clinic. We'll call them up. We'll make a deal with them, and then that person that sold that woman an abortion might get a commission. It would be a whole industry.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Some of these states if we wind up with this patchwork quilt, some of these states will set up a cottage industry in abortion. And so when I hear even pro-lifers, I heard some pro-life senator the other day on television talking about the Supreme Court needs to send this back to the states. That person is not pro-life. That is not a pro-life position, because not only the pragmatic aspect here, that you don't stop any abortions by a states' rights argument, but if you're pro-life, that means you believe the unborn child is a person. Do we not? Is that what it means?
That's what it means.
We believe the unborn child from the moment of fertilization is a person.
Right.
The United States Constitution protects persons, the right to life of all persons. So if you believe that the unborn child is a person, you say you're pro-life, that means you believe they're persons. Then you have to also say that the Constitution protects their life. And so therefore, it's not a states' rights issue. It's a constitutional issue.
Well, and if it did go to states' rights, it would still leave that element of choice,
Oh, sure.
And I mean, it's important that we do define personhood, and that we, a right to life, and we do it constitutionally. It's already constitutionally, but we do a bill, that
we've got to enforce it,
and
that's what I'm looking at this new thing that I'm putting out.
I mean,
anyway, we're out of time.
I have one comment. There are states that are trying to do that. Individual states, and Texas is one of them. We have a comment from Dan on Facebook who says Texas House Bill 896 is a personhood bill. We should all be contacting our state representatives. And like I said, there are a lot of individual states that are trying to do personhood bills, but that doesn't protect every single baby.
Well, it wouldn't protect any babies. Yeah. I mean, you know what the state closest to Texas is that doesn't border Texas? Do y'all know what it is?
Nevada,
Colorado.
Colorado.
One of the most liberal pro-abortion states in the union. That's the closest state to Texas that does not share a border with Texas. So what do you think is going to happen if Texas passes a personhood bill that doesn't go national, just applies to Texas, and outlaws abortion here? Colorado will be advertising their abortions right here in Texas.
Yes.
Now, Oklahoma won't be doing that. It won't be like the casino deal. Oklahoma is more pro-life than Texas, or at least as pro-life. But anyway, this is, we're getting down now, in my view, in the pro-life movement. I've been at this over 35 years. We're getting down to the end of this thing. This thing is going to get resolved one way or another, I think, in a relatively short length of time.
Well, I think things are heating up to
Things
a
are,
point.
we're getting, and this thing is accelerating, and somebody's going to drive the train. Either we're going to sit back and let the pro-aborts drive the train, or we're going to drive the train. We're going to take control. One or the other. That's what's going to happen, and that's what this new thing that I'm proposing that we do. And I'm really excited about it, and we'll be getting it out as quickly as we can. But anyway,
and there's a reason why the pro-aborts are getting more nastier and nastier.
Sure, I've always said the closer we get to winning, the closer the nastier they're going to get. But anyway, again, next week we'll be releasing this other project, and I think a lot of people already know something about it.
Yes.
But anyway, we'll start releasing it next week, and it will be released over a period of weeks. And then I'm hoping to have this thing that I'm working on, and it's a showdown. This deal is, we're drawing a line in the sand. It's time for us to do that.
Right.
You know? And of course, as we know here in Texas, we're big on drawing lines in the sand. It started at the Alamo, so that's where that term came from.
Yes.
So we're big on that, and I think it's time for it to happen.
Yep.
Anyway, is that it?
That's it.
All right. Till next Tuesday, remember, Life Dynamics is not here to put up a good fight. We're here to win, because winning is how the killing stops. We'll see you next week.